Welcome to Real Life with Jenny. My name's Jenny Senapataratna. Grab your favorite drink, get yourself a snack, and we will get started. Today I have Earl Grey from Caribou, and I have a cinnamon roll from Panera because I am getting all my birthday goodies that I get for free. So here we go. Let's get real. We are brand new empty nesters here at our house, and that has been one of the most unique, weird things that I've ever walked through. I mean, I've walked through a lot of crazy stuff in my life, and this has been really weird. Now, one of the things that is really interesting is for the first 10 years of our marriage, it was just Kevin and I and a dog. And so we really got into a routine of just the two of us. And then 18 years of having Samantha, and we're just in a routine. In fact, yesterday, Sam came over for just a couple hours and she was doing some homework because you go home to do homework, I guess. Anyway, and she was like, "Was it always this quiet at our house?" And we're like, yes, it was. It was always this quiet at our house. Anyway, we have been through a lot of weird stuff. And one of the things, when we first got married, we bought a minivan, like a big minivan so we could drive around our youth group. We were in a small church in northern Minnesota, and we were the senior pastors, the worship pastors, the pastors for youth, pastors for children. There was nothing. Kevin learned how to work the furnace. We did it all, and it was really fun and a challenging season. So during that season, we decided to buy a car, and we made no money at that time. It would be embarrassing to tell you what we used to make, or even what we make now. That might be embarrassing too. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. And we bought a minivan, and I think we bought it 2 weeks before camp. So we were bringing our youth girls to camp because we only had girls. We had one boy and all girls. Not a bad scenario for him. Anyway, and our back door to our minivan popped open and never completely shut again. So for the rest of the time that we owned that minivan, it was tied down with a rope. And just that season of it's fine. Just go untie the rope. You can go in the back. It was just a very weird season. And then we decided to go to a little car. And that was just great. And that worked all the way through. And that's been wonderful. But the one thing we did when we were newly married and trying to save money, we got a Sam's Club membership. And so we would go and we would buy our food at Sam's Club, which meant that when we bought spaghetti, we bought enough to eat it 4 to 5 times a week. And that's what we did. We just ate what we could eat. And then we stopped that about 3 or 4 years before Sam, because I was like, this is getting ridiculous. We can't eat Sam's Club. So fast forward 18 years. And our daughter is about to we just graduated her, and we got this bizarre information from our insurance company. Now, we live in a trailer, so it's really hard to get house insurance on a trailer. It's just not a lot of companies cover trailers because there is no basement and they are not connected to the ground. They are just on blocks. Are they fabulous? Yes, they are, but they are not, super firm. So it's really hard to get insurance on a trailer. But when you live in a trailer court in Minnesota, you have to have insurance. So our insurance company said, hey, guess what? We're getting rid of your insurance. So good luck. That wasn't a fun thing to hear. And we're in the middle of graduating our daughter and in the middle of trying to figure out how to get her where she needs to go. And did you know how expensive it is to move a kid into college? What is going on? Anyway, when you get there, you'll understand. It is crazy expensive to move a kid into college. And so we're like, what do we do? So we call our insurance company and they said, okay, just wait a minute. They're going to replace it with something else. Call us back in a couple months, which was about July. Call us back in July and we'll tell you what we have. Okay, so we call them back in July and they're like, oh, yeah, it's doubled. It's going to be double what it was before. Not any better coverage. It's kind of going to be actually worse, but it's double. Okay. And we're like, oh, okay. I had spent a couple months looking around, trying to find other places that would cover us. We're not high risk, like other than we live in a trailer, but there's just not a lot of companies that do this. Anyway, so we're like, okay, I guess we stick with you and pay double. And they're like, but guess what? If you have a Costco membership, we will give you money. And we're like, we don't have a Costco membership. And they said, well, get a Costco membership and we give you like $85 off of your bill. Well, a Costco membership's $65. So yes, all of a sudden that is where Jenny ends up at the Costco membership, buying a Costco membership for a place that now we're going from 3 down to 2. So we went from 2 to 3, got rid of our membership, went from 3 to 2 and got a Costco membership. This is a very weird situation. So I'm like, I am going to eat my $65 in samples. So whenever I go and get gas, because it has really cheap gas, I'm going to get my gas there, and then I'm going to go inside and I'm going to eat lunch or dinner or snack or whatever in samples. Now, are they always great? No, they're not. But that is the way I'm going to make Costco work for me, because I went and I was like, I need a fruit buddy. Like, I can't eat this much fruit. Kevin can't eat this much fruit. So we need a buddy to like share strawberries or share chicken. If you're out there, give me a call. Like, let's be Costco buddies. Anyway. So the other thing that's happening during this time is our car that we've had for 8 years started dying and like just stopped running. And I think 3 different times while we were like out for ministry, it just stopped running. And we brought it back in one day to the shop, to the repair shop. And they were like, yeah, this was like miles away from like seizing up and completely destroying your engine. Like, it just, all this stuff was happening. And they said, you need a new car. Like, that's just part of, like, this car's almost done. You need a new car. And we're like, okay. They said about 6 months. Like, try to find a car in the next 6 months. And we're like, oh, we can totally do that. That was in July when they told us everything doubled. I mean, so just on top of all of that, you're just going, Lord, like, do you see this? But we also thought, okay, we've been saving for a car for 8 years or 5 years, 5 to 8 years. We have been squirreling money away. Now, if you don't know what squirreling money away, my grandmother used to call it that. Like little like squirrels will take things and put them in their cheeks and hide them. Squirreling money away for this car. So we're like, we are ready. Until we started looking at cars. I don't know if you've looked at cars in our area in Minnesota. I don't know what they're like everywhere else, but they are double what we had saved. Like, completely double of what we like. I just want a little car. My car's little. We drive all over. We need good gas mileage. We need a reliable car. Like, because we're in the car every single weekend driving to a church. And I was kind of like, we can't do this anymore. So I was actually at Costco and I got my samples and I came back out to the car. I think they're now like, oh yeah, this lady never checks out with anything. I think I've bought something like once or twice. And I'm just there for the samples. It's okay. I've paid my membership. It's fine. And all of a sudden my car made a sound that I was like, oh, that's not good. Like, that's not good. I know very, very little about cars, but I know that's not a good sound. And so we brought it into the mechanic and they're like, you can fix it, but, and we're like, okay, we need a new car. Like, we're going to have to bite the bullet. We are looking for something small. I had decided, I was like, I want something small. I want something that's not red. Any other color I really don't care about. We've had an orange car. Like, anything but red and a little small car. And so we have a friend that actually works at a dealership, and we had texted them a couple times and they never really got back to us. And we're like, well, what do we do? So one night right after they told us that like the car's done, like not a good plan, we went to the car dealership to like see if he was there. and he wasn't. They gave us a phone number, and it was a different phone number than we had, which was kind of weird, but that was okay. We made an appointment, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the doctor I had a doctor's appointment right before, and then we were going to go meet him, and I'm like, we are not buying a car. We are just looking. Like, this is not going to happen. Like, we take a long time to make decisions. Kevin and I, like, we research and we like know what we want, and Anyway, long story short, we ended up with a huge red suburban situation. Like this. I'm like, what? We just decided, okay, what was the biggest car on the lot? And no, that's not really what happened. But he was like, well, if you could go a little bit higher, I can, maybe you can put all the money down and then you can, make a car payment. And we're like, we can't give you all of our money in savings plus like wiping out our checking account and everything and then make a payment. We took a pay cut last year. Like, we just can't do that. He knew us. He knew that we weren't just like trying to, negotiate down. That was not what we were. Just like, we have to stay in this budget. And this car just happened to fit perfectly in our budget. Much higher miles than I ever thought you should sell a car for. And the biggest thing on the planet. But I drove away and went, okay, I feel at peace about this. And it is that moment that we're at home and we had just driven the car home and we're trying to figure out how to move money around so all of the bills can get paid and this car can get paid for, and how are we going to do all that? And I'm panicking. I'm in full panic mode. I mean, there's just no way to like sugarcoat that. I'm like, Lord, what are we going to do? Like, we need to return this car. We can't do this. And it was that moment that God just said, breathe. I don't know if God has ever told you to breathe. But God was like, breathe. It's time for you to rely on me again and not rely on the cushion of the money in your checking account. And I was like, Lord, we have worked so hard to have that cushion there. And now it's gone. And he was like, yes, it's gone. There's nothing you could do about that. It's gone. And it's time to rely on me in a deeper way once again. And it was just that moment with Costco and with being an empty nester and with having this car that I don't really know how to drive and I feel really huge in it. And I'm like, can I even bring this through a drive-through? Like, they allow this big of a car in a drive-through? You're going to see the car and go, yeah, it's not that big, Jenny. But for me, it is. And it's just that moment that sometimes when things go awry, there's a reason. There's a reason behind things going awry. And yes, just junk happens in life. Just your finances are sometimes just out of control and there's nothing you can do about it. You have a kid in college, you have a brand new car, your insurance has doubled, and you still have that pay cut from last year. And it's that moment that you have to rely on God that is such a beautiful space to be in. It really is. And whether it's a financial thing or it's a thing with your house or with a relationship, it really doesn't matter. When that cushion is removed and the reliance on God has to become stronger, it's a great place to be. And yesterday we went to church at our home church, and I'm telling you, there's nothing like going home after a long period of time. We haven't been there since May because we've been on the road every single weekend. And it was just so beautiful. And my daughter actually had a car because she went to a concert. So we had brought her a car the night before. So she brought some friends to church. And we're driving away, and it's just my daughter and I in the car. And I'm like, how long are your friends going to be here? And she's like, oh, they have to stay for the extra service because their ride doesn't go home till like 1. And I'm like, they can come to our house. They can come and have lunch with us. That's not a problem. She's like, are you sure? And I'm like, absolutely. So we turn back around, we pick them up, we bring them back to the house. And I just, at that moment, I'm listening to these girls talk in the car, and my heart was just full because it was a reliance on God to buy a car that was big enough to bring girls home because my other car is super little and everybody's really squished when they're in my car. And so it's this big car. I have room for the college students. I have food at my house because we've been shopping in such a great way with Costco and all the other places, and we've been saving money, and like it's just been so good that we had enough. I had spaghetti. I had just bought a bunch of stuff. In fact, the day before, my mom had thrown me a little birthday party, and we didn't eat the cake, and I brought the cake home, and I got to have the cake available for them. And they brought it back to the suite, and they all had cake. I sent them little plates and the cake so they could all have cake together. And it was just those moments that you go, God, I've been relying on you, and I've been trusting you in a new and deeper way, and he came through. And he continues to come through. And that is my reminder to you that God is not surprised by what is happening in your life. He is not surprised that your house insurance has doubled. He is not surprised that you need a new car that you're like, what happened to the car prices? He is not surprised at the things that are happening in your life. He just wants you to rely on him when those things happen, to step into him and go, Lord, I'm going to trust you in this because you are bigger than this circumstance. And so that's my reminder to you this week. I just pray that that seeps into you as you're walking through what you're walking through. Because, life is not always what we think it's going to be. But God is consistent. And God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And he tells us to cast our worries on him because he is the author and perfecter of our faith. And I realize I just kind of botched a bunch of verses together. But it's the truth that God is the author, and he sees this, and he was planning for it, and he just wants you to rely on him because that's what great things are going to happen. Well, that's all I have for you this week. You can find me at Real Life with Jenny on Instagram and on Facebook. You can also support this ministry by going to buymeacoffee.com/Real Life with Jenny. Thank you so much for those of you that have supported this ministry. Like every penny goes back into this podcast and making sure that we can keep going. And so I just really appreciate that. You can also find me at christconnection.cc/Jen. I think it's working now. You can go there and connect with me in any way that you see there. You guys, this is a season of Jenny now has bounty. Like I have a huge car. I have access to Costco. And what's funny, now I have space to put all the stuff I can get at Costco. No, really, I'm in a space of relying on God. And I would take that moment over the bounty any day. That I can be in a season of relying on him day to day, minute by minute. And so whatever you're walking through, know that he is there and he is faithful to be by your side the whole time. You have a great week.